woke up very unhappy, very scared, just very scary, scared, really scared. Was I really scared? Yes. I had like weird feelings in the pit of my stomach before it even started. I'm scared.
Whoa, fellas. If you want to get into the show, I'm going to need some ID, okay?
Oh, are we turning 21, Dad?
What's that? You don't have it on you, you little shits? You don't have it on you? You're going to bring it when? Later? How much later? 28 days later. That's right, folks. The Bad Boys of Horror are back for the 21st ever episode of Two Men and a Baby, the horror movie review show where three best friends discuss a new horror movie each episode. And yes, everybody, we're kicking off our of legal drinking age era with 2003's 28 Days Later, written by Alex Garland, directed by Danny Boyle, and starring Cillian Sexy Murphy.
And we're pretty much recording it 28 years after it came out. But before the 28 years later sequel comes out, let's hear that jingle theme song.
2 men and a baby, oh yeah. 2 men and a motherfucking baby.
Motherfucking baby. Wait. I got to start with immediate baby of knowledge fact. This was written by Alex Garland?
Yep, and I have something.
What? I knew Danny Boyle, obviously. Oh, Danny Boyle.
Well, we also...
The movies.
We intentionally recorded this before 28 years later.
Yes, we're getting ready.
And they're reunited. Alex Garland is doing
So he didn't do Weeks.
No, the sequel has nothing to do with either of them outside of an unwritten director credit for the opening scene, which is the best part of the movie.
Okay, don't tell me. I didn't see it. Obviously, I hadn't seen this one either, so this was my first time.
Well, I just mean his involvement was producer, but he also directed the opening scene.
Is this Alex Garland's like first big movie that he wrote?
Yeah, it's actually his first film running credit.
It's saying, because I looked it up, he took 5 years to write another thing, so I don't know what he did for 5 fucking years.
His next movie was also with Boyle, and it was Sunshine.
Yeah. And Lollipops and
also
Rainbows.
with Cillian Murphy.
Sunshine, the sci-fi classic. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it.
I have not seen that either.
I went through this like recent space horror tear when we saw Alien Romulus. Not all horror, but space sci-fi shit, and that was among one of my favorites.
Yeah, is it Cillian Murphy or Cillian Murphy? Because
in this movie, he put the kill in Cillian Murphy, if you know what I mean, because the zombies were getting killed.
Silly,
I've always said Cillian.
But let's really crack this movie open and let's make some 28-day omelets.
Oh,
whoa!
Those eggs
28 eggs later.
So, what were your guys' viewing experiences? We saw it all separately after a failed attempt to see it all together.
That's a very loaded question.
We don't need
Abby.
to go into it. Okay, well, I'll go mine first. I watched it at home alone. It was during the day, so I dedicate myself to the art, and I covered my window with a dark bed sheet that I had, and I did the best I could, and it was scary, and my cat did not support me. And then I did get a few reprises of fear when my landlord was playing like blasting cumbia every once in a while in the backyard. So it was just like scared. Okay,
Wait,
I'm jamming.
Kumbaya?
Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbia, the music.
Literally? Oh, Cumbia.
Yeah, I was like,
you're a fucking idiot, dude.
What's Cumbia? I've never heard of that musical.
It's Spanish music. Oh, that's way funnier. Though.
He was just singing "Kumbaya, my lord" every 20 minutes.
I thought you were mispronouncing
Cumbia.
Yeah, you're like Kumbia.
Sorry. Wow.
That's why the accent marks are important.
I'm gonna get
though.
kicked
I
out
don't
of
think
my
it has
house.
one.
Diablo.
Brendan, how did you see it?
Escúchame. So basically, what happened in my viewing experience was actually pretty sick. I got off work, ate some delicious orzo. And then I was like, I'm not going to watch this
He's been
tonight.
talking about this orzo for like 3 days.
I was like, I'm not going to watch the movie tonight because your boy Cansado. So, but what happened was, I was like, I have to because I don't really have much time the next day. So I was like, all right, I got some Ben & Jerry's, some B&J's, half-baked, Ben & Jerry, Ben of Ben & Jerry. I've been in the news lately, very politically based.
Woke ice cream, we love you, Ben.
At RFK's hearings. So yeah, shout out to B&J. Had some Ben & Jerry's, watched it, and enjoyed it. Had just a nice solitary night. Not as exciting as Dub's watching experience. Dubs, I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, so I want to just give a shout out. Thank you to all of my coworker, colleague, and parent listeners, but I'm going to need you to leave the room right now, please. So I woke up out of sorts on Sunday, and I was like, I want to keep drinking or do something. I was just like so hungover that I felt like I had to carry momentum. So I decided, and this was initially a really excellent idea and fun day, to take a whole bunch of mushrooms and go to Liberty State Park. It was a beautiful day. I walked around alone, had some music on, laid down on the grass, caught some ground. Honestly, sick. Had a lovely time. But I also kind of forgot that I had to watch this movie in order for us to successfully record. So instead of waiting a while, I decided to text you guys and take even more mushrooms to see what this viewing experience would be like. Went into the screening room, booked it alone, pitch black, surround sound up to 80. But all I kept thinking was that I'm fucking strapped in. I have no idea I've seen the movie a million times, but it was going to be immersive, and I could tell immediately that that was the case. But all I kept thinking is,
You're like, I don't remember this movie being in 3D. This is wild.
but all I kept thinking was potential interactions with other humans that happened today. I was like, the only thing that I will really scare the shit out of me right now,
Zombie breaking through the door.
Yeah.
Breaking through the screen and coming into the theater with me.
Ring
And then
style.
talking to me about Jimi Hendrix songs.
Sure enough, 5 minutes in, with the noise through the roof, the sound was so fucking loud. You know, the shrieking of the monkeys and the screens. It's not a spoiler. It happens in the first 30 seconds. This door screeches open, and two, like, cute, young, like, blonde women just peek their heads in, and I'm like, I just freeze. I'm fucking like, this is actually happening right now. And they're like, oh, sorry, we're just touring the building. And all I kept thinking was like, I was in the front middle seat. Yeah. I had my backpack, I had my water, I had my Gatorade, my vape, and I'm like, I'm like frozen. Yeah. And it was the worst case scenario.
It's like
it's completely fine.
but
You're just watching a movie in a movie room, a room devoted to watching movies.
Do you know how long I like reflected on that moment and how it went over?
But also, it is funny because you are alone. It is the one time socially that it might be smart to be like, just blurt out like, I have a podcast. I'm doing this for a podcast. Because it is a little sadistic to go watch a horror movie alone in the screening room, like blasting it in the daytime. I'm not saying it's.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. But were there any words? Did you say anything to them when they said we're just touring it?
I was like, okay, sorry, or something. Sorry for me doing this. But I mean, Abby, we've had this happen when we're just normally watching a movie and it's awkward every single time. And if you've never seen 28 Days Later, with the part that they caught, it's like grainy red. It's very obviously a super intentionally uncomfortable moment that they come into, and it's like, look at this guy just
I'm like scared hearing that
having
story.
a blast. But the first 25-ish minutes alone with the noise was really intense, and it was having kind of my desired effect where I was enjoying it.
Step into the eyes of a baby.
But I mean, it was more visceral. It was especially the sound and the music. It wasn't like the TV was,
coming
maybe,
out.
it wasn't like crazy, like hallucinating or anything, but
You were feeling emotions that you wouldn't otherwise feel in the day to day.
yeah, it felt, it was more like it was like moving through me, if that makes sense.
I mean, that's the thing. When you take psychedelic drugs, like interacting with people is the scariest. I'll tell my one story that I always say is one time, because I always have the joke when I've done many psychedelics. It's always like, do people act weirder? Or obviously you're taking things as weird. But sometimes there is a perfect universe moment where people do weird things. And when we were in college and took a bunch of acid one time, we were sitting like silently on the porch listening to music for hours, like tripping balls. And this guy comes, walks up to the stoop, opens it up, and just goes, hi, I'm a DJ myself.
Oh,
and
God.
we were all like got so dead silent. And he's like, I'm spinning records later if you guys want to come by. It was like a normal thing. Yeah. But he walked away silent for 5 minutes, and then we all just started laughing like harder than I ever believed. Did he just intro the sentence with, hi, I'm a DJ myself?
Yeah. Little he was on shrooms. And he's
right.
Like,
he might have been.
I'm a DJ.
I mean, the only other thing I'll say about it is I woke up so like anxious today. I tried to cancel, and one of my friends is nice, and he lent himself an ear. Abby did, and
After giving you a lot of
subtly
shit.
still tried to talk me into it, even though I was making myself very vulnerably anxious. And I came. So this is
And the other friend just said, "Okay, yeah, let's. What day do you want to do it?" Instead, I didn't like.
I was like, shut up, you pussy. No.
All right, let's get into this movie because I actually have to go do shrooms after this. So let's go.
All right. So the way we kick things off is we go around and in one sentence and one sentence only, we give our own version of a synopsis of the film before we contrast it with the real one. Sammy's synopsis always kicks us off. Brendan, go ahead.
Guys, this one sucks. And by sucks, I mean might be my best work ever. Okay. After escaping a near-death experience, bicycle courier Jim awakens from a coma to a new world where death is still very much hot on his heels. That's
Good, but
so lame and cringe. Just kidding. Thank you, guys. You can hire me at brendanfletcher.com. Go.
mine, short, sweet. Monsters and men collide in the UK's very own apocalyptic pandemic.
Nice.
All right.
Love
I like
that.
that reference. My thing is sort of the short and quick, but okay, steal it. Okay, mine is fast ass British zombies.
Nice.
Yeah, that was fast too. All right, here's the official one from the RT. A bit longer than we like them, but a group of misguided animal rights activists free a spoilers much, caged chimp infected with the rage virus from a medical research lab. When London bike courier Jim, Cillian Murphy, wakes up from a coma a month after, he finds the city all but deserted. On the run from the zombie-like victims of the rage, Jim stumbles upon a group of survivors, including Selena, Naomi Harris, and a cab driver, Frank, Brendan Gleeson, and joins them on a perilous journey to what he hopes will be safety. That's
Dang, dude, that was a big boy.
too many sentences. All right, well, now that everybody knows what the movie is about, the next most important thing is to know how scary it was. That's going to take us into our next segment, Baby in the Corner, where we ask our resident baby, Abby, to give us a score on the Binkymeter, talk about fear levels, but also dive into other horror elements and components.
Yeah, so this is Baby in the Corner, but I'm actually going to precede Baby in the Corner here with Baby in a cinematographer corner. I didn't really test that one out, but I want to talk before because it had to do with the scariness, like how this was shot. So before we even get into how scary it was an intense, gruesome movie that was scary, period. I'll get more into that. But it was shot, so it shot like early 2000s, and it was shot like mostly on digital video, which is still not the norm, but obviously much more normal now. Back then, that was very, very rare. What they've sort of made digital cinema cameras do for the last 20 years is try to mock film because it's way cheaper and easier to do, and you can shoot more, but trying to make it look as good as a 35 millimeter film, which is the classic filmmaking.
Thanks to Ryan Coogler for teaching me that
Exactly.
2 weeks ago.
But this was shot on like a small censored camcorder. So like, not to get too into film school, but it's like Super 35 is the size of the film, and then digital cameras try to have that same one, so it looks semi-similar. This was a tiny sensor. This was a camcorder that they shot it on. And
Canon XL1.
tiny sensor. It looks like a home video, and that's sort of on purpose. And I think that it was really cool. I think that like stylistically, they did something, and it ages itself in an interesting way. It sets itself in a time, and it's not like trying to look like a film camera and failing. It's trying to look how it looked. And I thought that was all cool. And they did some really interesting stuff for like the filmmaking aspect of having these bodies run right by the freaking lens. So cool.
It does such a great job of capturing the frenetic energy that is happening.
Exactly. The camera will fall sometimes with the zombie that's dead or something, and you'll like go to the floor with the camera. All of this, really cool. The truth is, like, the baby in me is a normie. It's not like creative, it's not interesting, it's just scared of things. And honestly, the 2000s DV cam look made it less scary to me. It was still, I was still scared, but I think compared to what I thought it might be, compared to, I think, worse zombie movies that I've seen in the past, this scared me less than I thought. However, this brings me to my next point. Now that we're in the corner, I might be growing, guys.
Yeah,
like we're
knew this
episode
was gonna
20.
happen.
We thought it might happen. This is the first movie we've watched, period, where, again, I was very scared for certain parts. If you saw me, you would be like, Abby, you still jumped hard. But this is the first movie where it ended, and I was like, I want to watch 28 Weeks right now. I'm having more fun and care more about what happened than my fears have,
you're
have
less
slowed me down.
nervous about it. But so
It's pretty crazy.
I am shocked by the visual style taking you out of it. You got to remember,
Not out of it, just less
in
traditionally scared.
2003, like it still looked like nothing I had ever seen before, and I wonder if you had seen it back then, if
Of course, I would have. Yeah,
felt differently or whatever. But I thought, that creative decision worked incredibly well for me, and it's
again
one of my favorite things about it.
we have to remember, I'm rating it how scared I was for the babies in the crowd. For my actual movie rank, I loved this movie. I really thought it was good, and I just think that visual style allowed me to like it more as a standard movie. Just was less like something about that super HD like calmness in a room. And then a zombie or something popping in, like that sticks with me more than this sort of home video.
And there's also a lot of like
vibe.
there weren't a huge implementation of like post effects, like edited.
No.
Yeah, there
Right.
were not. I mean, there was a couple scenes like where that like posterized effect they have on the flowers where they're driving on the highway.
I
that
saw
Van Gogh.
that, yes. I wrote
Apparently
that was
that's an
crazy.
effect that you can find in like what's it called, the
Final Cut
software
or something?
Media 100 or something. It's like this. It's called posterized effect.
Oh,
this
that's
editing software
hilarious.
from like the early 2000s that
Yeah.
they used.
So I've heard contradicting things about that shot.
Yeah.
Some people say in the featurette that he
like a painting.
actually filmed a painting.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. There's got
So
I was
in
literally
which case
watched that, and I
there
was-
isn't a special effect.
Yeah,
used.
no, I
I
read
watched
that
it.
as well. Yeah, there's a couple different things.
I watched it and I was like, am I on shrooms? Like,
No,
what the
yeah.
fuck is
Yeah, yeah,
happening?
yeah.
Because this movie wasn't doing shit like that. Maybe it was subtly and I didn't notice the others.
Yeah,
No, that was like very much a standout
People
shot
talked about it.
we
Yeah.
paused it and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Right.
Yeah.
And it's also a beautiful shot. He's trying to invoke Van Gogh, is what people said.
Right. And the last thing on the fear stuff is like, as much as again it didn't stick with me in terms of like nightmares. I mean, really, really quality jump scares. I jumped a lot. Like I'm not. So to stop beating around the bush, I gave this guy a 7.2 on the Binkymeter. So again, I'm not pretending I was like brave boy the whole time. I was surprised because I remember us seeing like back in the day, me and Will, we saw the John Leguizamo Day of the Dead
Oh
movie.
yeah, but that's
And
very campy. That's
it's
George Romero.
that fucked me up way
you were also
more.
a
I was
kid.
a child, but I also do wonder, part of it might be the podcast. We'll find this out because we're going to go watch 28 years later, and that's going to be the test because I don't think that's shot on a DV cam. Maybe it will be.
Well, from the trailer, it doesn't look like it.
Right, it
but
didn't look
what's
like it.
interesting about Day of the Dead is it actually has probably 10 times as many jump scares, from what I remember.
Okay, some of those movies that stick with you, it's not because they were good scary movies. They just got you for some reason, some little thing here or there. That said, again, this one, sort of like Sinners we talked about, this one definitely stuck with me. I've been thinking about it a lot. It's such an interesting movie. I can't wait to see the Weeks one, and then we're going to go see the Years one. Like, I'm all in. This was
Weeks-
just a really fun movie.
I think Weeks gets more shit than it should.
It gets a lot of
I
shit.
actually,
watched
What I
Weeks
see.
today.
You
It actually-
did?
Yeah.
All right.
It actually-
Well, no spoil.
It took me weeks to get through it.
The only other thing that took me out of it for a little while is like that was some wild Pepsi product placement in that movie. At
Oh,
first,
yeah,
I was like, "Oh, that's sweet. He's like alone. He needs a drink." And then like 4 other Pepsis came up throughout the movie.
But
was
I
like,
didn't even know that.
okay.
And Maltesers.
Wasn't there?
I
There
didn't
was
get
one
that. It's a
soda.
British.
Lirt.
That's what it
Yeah.
was. I was like, I've never even heard of that soda.
Tango.
The British dude.
Was another. Lilt.
Lilt.
Yeah.
That's
It's
what it
lemon
is.
lime. So.
So
But Pepsi.
before we creep into the full-blown discussion of the movie, there's a kind of a fitting full circle moment that it's happening on the same episode that Abby is saying he's becoming a little bit desensitized.
We still got to see. I still got to see like a full HD movie and see how that.
But
works.
I was thinking about the very first episode. I think Brendan or Abby, one of you asked the question that like, what was the horror movie that got you into horror? And my answer wasn't a movie. It was I was like, well, it's the opposite. I can only remember when I was scared, not when I started to fall. I remember now vividly because I saw this in theaters with my Aunt Sharon. I'm 13.
This movie.
Yes. And I remember it was the first time I absolutely loved a horror movie. And I think me being able to realize that I could like equate a movie like that with being very good is all that's the satisfaction that you chase, because the genre is huge, but the quality is small.
That's awesome.
And
yeah.
I do remember also being very scared by one of those 2 jump scares I mentioned, but my 13-year-old little brain was like, that was a really fucking good movie. And it was scary, and I'm here wanting to see more stuff like that.
Right, because before that, it's sort of like, let's get around, and the whole thing is the drug of the fear, but it's less about also being like, that's a cinematic great movie. The movie that first made me realize, it was well before my journey with you guys to be like, I might actually learn to like horror movies, but the movie that first made me realize that like a horror movie can be one of the best movies I've ever seen was The Shining.
I thought you were going to say The Thing.
Oh, yeah, The Shining,
No,
right.
the thing was a second of that, but The Shining was the first movie where I didn't sleep literally for like a week correctly. After that, it really fucked me up. But that was the first time that I was like, oh, I've went to film school, like I've seen cinema, and then I've seen horror that scares me, and that was the first time I was like, oh wait, these can be the same sometimes. So I thought that was
Well, the whole idea around this show came from a group text where you were seeing a girl that liked horror but were scared of it, and me and Brendan recommended The Thing, and that was one of the first ones where you're like, dude, that movie was so good.
It was so good.
Because we were trying to pick it based on what we thought you could tolerate while still being a horror movie that you would enjoy.
Yeah.
So shouts to The Thing, shouts to group chat, friendship.
Yeah. Charlie, I miss you. Do you have a memory like that?
Not really. I remember like moments, like The Haunting, for example. I forget the actress's name. She's also in High Fidelity. She's looking in the mirror and her face slowly starts to begin to like morph. And I don't know what effect they used, but it just like bugged me out.
That's creepy.
And
as
it got
fuck.
me really scared. As I got older, I feel like I've been chasing that feeling for years. Like I haven't really felt truly scared until I would say, and I hope we cover it at some point, Hereditary, like really scared me in a way that was like that first time. And being, older, I was in my 20s when I saw it. I was like, ooh, it kind of reminded me of that first time.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna have to do an episode.
to this movie, like, yeah, I mean, I appreciated it stylistically. I wasn't really scared at any point, but I appreciate it as like almost like a survival movie.
Right,
I love which it is, and it's action packed and it's entertaining from beginning to end.
So Garland. Now that I know it's him, it's so fucking Garland.
It has a lot of heart, and the writing's great, and the characters are great, and so you kind of almost forget that you're even in a horror movie, or you're watching a horror movie. It just feels like just a well-made, a great movie. And to put into context, the Canon XL1, how old it is and how kind of ever present it was, in the 2000s. Like in my mass media class in high school, that's the cameras they rented out to make our student films. And we were making some absolute
Public high school, dude.
I went to public high school.
No, I'm saying mass media class. What the hell?
Public high school. Shout out Randolph High School.
We had the the TV on the wheels.
Yeah. Peter Jackson taught your classes. Anyway, so we used those cameras to make like PSAs about drinking and driving in 2005. So it's crazy that Danny Boyle was able to kind of pull off this storytelling with this like this aesthetic that kids in high school were
wild.
using.
I remember because in film school, like we had the DVXs, which were like similar generation, not Canon, Sony, but those Canon ones I always thought, because they have the stock, they come up like this, like they almost look like
the
a gun.
bump stock. Yeah, right.
Like it's crazy. If you guys haven't seen it, it's funny. Look up that camera, XL1 and the XL1S.
And to the point of when we were talking about like The Infected running really fast. And also the way it was filmed, like I think actually the camera itself, the Canon XL1, has a slow motion setting on it that makes it look like this staccato. Like maybe it allows you to film at a certain frame rate that looks different than a slow motion on a 35 millimeter, where it has this like it creates this like staccato effect where like you see the frames missing, and it like when the
it's probably something
running,
to do with shutter speed, while also you have to bring the frame speed up to do slow motion, but maybe there's something with the shutter here.
Yeah, but anyway, but like that effect of the way they move, the Infected move, could only have been achieved through this one camera too.
I also think it's interesting that the movie starts with footage of footage, right?
Yeah.
And what would probably be grainy, shitty footage. And you think maybe that's only going to be that scene, and it persists, and it never stops being crazy and uncomfortable to look at, in my opinion.
No, it definitely, I agree. Intense is the word I wrote everywhere. That's just not the same as Fear for me, but it was one of the more intense movies I've seen. And again, so Garland, because it reminded me a lot of Civil War, looking back on like, some of that intensity. So I think that's the perfect transition, though. Let's get into that spoiler room.
Yep. Let's creak down there. So we're past the halfway, folks.
We might not be joining the Blue Man Group anytime soon.
Yeah. This is where we open up the floor completely, and anybody who listens to our show but doesn't actually want to watch the movies, probably stop listening right now.
Well, if you don't want to watch the movie, you can listen along. If you're going to watch the movie, pause it here, go watch the movie, then come back. Magic of editing. Welcome back. I'm glad you watched that, Sam.
So, but I want to talk about the Alex Garland thing because it is fascinating to me that a movie that seems so obviously anti-military, he just released a movie called Warfare that could actually be interpreted as pro-military.
So I haven't seen Warfare, but I'm interested. It's interesting to hear you say that because I assumed it would be very anti-war. And Civil War is definitely anti-war. This is definitely anti-army.
Warfare, I don't think this is any kind of spoiler, but it's made with military people, by military people.
Well, yeah, I thought the idea was to make it very realistic looking.
So it's crazy realistic, and it's really just something that happens over the course of a few hours. It doesn't feel like propaganda or anything like that. It doesn't glorify war, but it's certainly there to show its respect to the people that have to experience shit like that. And, that's like, for our veterans kind of thing, where this is like, dude, fuck ever giving people standard like power like that. So it's crazy that I really do think Alex Garland is just kind of like an observer who writes about ways that things are seen, because he's devs that critique of tech society and AI, and he can do both sides, is what I think.
Yeah, I feel like I honestly Warfare to respond to that more, but I do think that in this, I don't think this was as much about the anti-army as it was about anti-people.
Yes,
and about people in desperation just sort of turning to their most guttural instincts.
For sure. But it was a deliberate choice that
he was a sergeant, and they were following.
Sanctuary was military and not some sort of settlement or anything else that it could have been.
Yeah. So before we get to that, the movie starts with another thing that I thought was sort of a funny, controversial take. Less controversial back then, but it was pretty much just like, hey, what if PETA was at fault for that? It was just like, these people are going to free the chimps. And the guy's like, do not free this chimp. It's infected. And they're like, fuck that. Let it go. And I mean, it works. It's such a 2000s narrative of just haha, liberals are such stupid idiots. They would just let the zombie out.
But I don't think that they make you feel like they're dumb outside of just it circumstantially. We know it's dumb, but the way it's done is it's kind of chaotic. And
but
they're going to do it no matter
it's
what.
True. And I'm not here to just defend PETA because there's a lot of flaws on all sides. But it's I don't think they would just be let this huge gorilla out that's been tested on. Just I'm gonna walk home with it hand in hand. You knock it out the correct way with drugs, and you bring it to a doctor. Then you free it on a sanctuary. They wouldn't just do that.
You know what's crazy? That's actually how COVID.
Yeah, exactly. I was
that's
thinking
Wuhan, dude.
I think we're gonna see this plot 2 or 3 more times in the next few years. I think the COVID movies are starting. I know,
there's been so many.
But I think
the sadness was made in China right after. And that was commentary on how they were being blamed for everything. And it was such an aggressive, overcorrection in its commentary. It was okay, this is our fault. This is going to be one of the most fucked up movies you'll ever see.
Right. But I just the lab leak stuff. I think I thought that was really cool, really ahead of its time, really well done.
I just don't. I don't think it was anti-woke in any way.
So then, early on, we get him, wandering through that empty world, and that's such a famous scene. And I didn't realize, many of the classics that you guys show me here, it's oh, I've seen that referenced a million times. Obviously, it's not the first movie to do that, but it's some of those shots were directly referenced in things I've seen throughout my life.
Zero CGI.
Zero, right, exactly. So they just emptied out London.
The way that it had to be done was insane.
Well, I read a little bit about how they were able to achieve it. So, and back to the digital camera and the portability of these cameras, it was easy to do quick setups for multiple camera angles. So, you would find a background where there wasn't much going on. So you could, or as soon as something does go on, you just take a little bit of that clip. You can set up immediately to a different angle. And actually, if you see him walk over that bridge, There are there's one shot where you can see a car driving away.
No
in the
way.
background. Yeah,
Really?
in the background. If you
I
look
don't
really
want to
close.
believe that.
Yeah, but like,
I mean, I didn't
there
catch
could
it.
be a
Neither of us
person.
caught it,
There could
so-
be a person driving. You know what I mean?
I mean,
but
yeah.
But and also they would say he would set up an angle and he would just really quick to get the shot. He would tell passerbys, "Hey guys, just pause for like 2 minutes." They'd also film really early in the morning.
Right. That
So
makes
like when
sense.
he's crossing the bridge, it's like basically at dawn before the city is up.
Yeah, fully.
The cameras really allowed him to kind of get a wide range of different perspectives and stuff quickly.
That makes a lot of sense. I always think in the dystopian movie when the person is walking amongst the desolate, empty city,
Yeah.
like I always think like, this is depressing, this is weird. There'd be
Yeah.
that one moment when you're just like, so I don't got to go to work today.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have to pay my credit card bill. And then it would catch up to you and you'd be horribly depressed. Probably I'd kill myself.
Well,
But-
it'd be like Vanilla Sky. The director, I think Cameron Crowe directed it. I'm not positive, but where he actually emptied out Times Square and paid it millions of dollars to get that achieved. Where it's like, dude, you should have just got a Canon and fucking,
Should've got a
you know what I mean? Went to a different
XL1.
city and filmed at dawn.
The music during the scene is incredible, and it is a crescendo. Whoever put together that score of
Yeah, John
it's-
Murphy, I think, is his
it
name
gets-
in the main song.
It gets more and more intense as you follow somebody realizing how bad something is, because he's in real time figuring out the gravity of the situation. The music like mirrors that totally until he's like, it ends with him looking at a piece of paper and is like, fuck, it's really like the apocalypse.
I love the music in this movie, like the
So
scene
good.
where they're in the grocery store, kind of like shopping around. Yeah, this movie was pretty bad.
So,
dude.
I also love early on, we get to start right at the beginning with some Killian dong. We had the Oppenheimer dong twice, and then we had an Oppenheimer shot later too.
He
We
asked
got
for a
to
closed
see
set.
front and
He
back.
said no one can be on set for this. He
No one
closed
can be on
the-
set. No one can see this except for the billions of
for-
people that watch
billions
this.
of people.
Not the most flattering shot either. It's very like hairy.
It's a real world, baby. He was
And he was out for 28 days.
right, and he was bike messenger. So then we got to talk about Premium Rush. Fixed gear, no brakes,
Have to
can't
talk
stop,
about-
don't want to.
either.
All right, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Will
come on our
Dubs used
podcast.
to ride a fixed gear.
So I think that sets up the whole movie. And now I think let's talk about it. So then it's zombies, baby. I think it's our first real zombie movie we've done. We did When Evil Lurks, which was a fantastic Argentinian movie
Yeah,
that
that
had
was
some
possession.
possession-esque things that could have some. But this is the first real 20 episodes in. This is one of the main genres of horror. Zombies,
And
baby.
Well, it became that again
Right,
after
after
this
this.
movie.
Yeah.
So what? It was Night of the Living Dead. And
Night of the Living Dead
yeah.
was like the first big one.
So, the etymology of the zombie comes from early Prussia, where the word is actually called zombito, and it comes from when you went to a graveyard and the grave robbers would dig up these graves, and when they would go to steal. Sorry, Brian. I'm sorry, dude.
Wait, is this real?
Yeah, no, I wanted to do something.
Wait, is that a bit?
Yeah, I was
That's
trying,
hilarious.
but I couldn't keep going.
Zombito. Why did I believe that for even a second?
I don't know. I
well,
thought you guys were immediately.
honestly-
I was trying so hard not to interrupt.
If I went back in the day, being a grave robber would be such a cool job. Dude. You
Yeah.
just
All right, let's move on.
So the zombie rules were very interesting in this. Sort of like Sinners. The turn. I thought Sinners they turned quickly. This was the craziest. They say it pretty early. They say 10 to 20 seconds you have. I've never seen this done before. Has that been done before?
No,
Say it again?
they totally flipped it on its head and still at the
Yeah.
same time reinvigorated the traditional zombie genre
Right.
because they started pumping out the slow walking ones too. But the Dawn of the Dead remake by Zack Snyder, which came out only a few years after,
There's some that
they
run.
run.
Right?
They
Right.
run, and that I guarantee that only happened because of this movie.
The running is big and cool. But yeah, again, I thought the most notable thing about these ones is that they turn in 10 to 20 seconds. It changes everything about those interactions. You usually have like the body on the floor and you're like, should we get rid of it? Should we not? I liked it because, again, a part of horror is going like, get out of the room. And I don't hate all things that do that, but this movie didn't have that much of it. It was like from the beginning when we meet Selena and the guy Michael at first, and you're just like, okay, these are our two characters that are going to save it. And then Michael gets bit and she just doesn't hesitate at all.
my
Beats
favorite
the
scene
fucking
in the whole
shit out of him
movie.
to death. Yeah, it's immediately like nothing's sacred. So that's one way to get you in a horror movie that's great. And then two, it's just like, we're not going to do this bullshit. Like, yes, there's dramatic moments of like your friend or family turning, but I thought that was really cool.
So I have several follow-up items. So at no point, zombies are the living dead. These people don't die. They never die and come back to life.
They're just
That's
infected, right?
The word zombie is clearly never used in
Right.
it, but it's also the first movie to treat, it is actually just a virus, and they use the word infection several times. But I don't think the concept of, you watch something like The Walking Dead or something that be like, oh, he's infected. I'm not sure if the concept of somebody becoming infected with it, becoming a zombie was a thing before this or not. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Now, the killing of Michael, who I thought was just not up to par with the other actors in the movie, but he does give a really scary monologue.
I think Garland also may have not thought that because they killed him out real fast.
But that was and is my favorite scene in the entire movie. The juxtaposition of the safety of Jim reminiscing on his parents in a living room, which was also filmed on a camcorder.
Oh no, that was actually filmed Super 8.
Really?
The flashback scene.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good fact. Good
Who
flashback.
fact checks the Fletch facts? I mean, I think that makes it even more impressive that he made the distinct choice to make it look different, but it seamlessly transitions into them being ambushed in the exact space that the flashback is taking place. And it comes out of fucking nowhere because, there was this whole build up to meeting them, and then they reach safety only to have something come out of nowhere. Also, the note, with endless love, we left you sleeping. Now we're sleeping with you. Don't wake up. They thought their son was dead, and he wasn't. And him reading that with the flashback, it's just
that was great.
And how violent the reaction was.
Right, to her just ending Michael's chance to. That would talk about show don't tell. Like that showed us so much.
About her character,
in 10 seconds and so much about her character, what she's been through, what the world is like. All that was learned so quickly with a bit of violence that we didn't really see either, which was another thing. This movie was gruesome, but it wasn't like not that much special effects close-ups. It was a mix.
You showed the cut very
They showed
detail,
some things,
and then his
but they
arm
had,
being hacked
they
off.
have some examples, but every kill was definitely not a close-up showing blood and teeth and shit. Some are off camera, were blood flying, but you didn't see Michael's head in that.
Yeah. 14 kills in this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's actually probably sort of low for a zombie movie. That's a great flashback. And I loved how they died, because it was like, at first it was really hard because they didn't have good weapons.
Yeah,
and
right.
then you realize guns work, and it's like, that's a lot like real life. Like, I like that it wasn't this supernatural. It was just...
They can starve to death.
Exactly.
These things.
And the best and the most distilled version of it all is, what is he infected with? Rage.
Yeah, rage virus. It's called the rage virus.
That is so fucking distilled. I love that so much. No unobtainium here. Just fucking infected with rage. Done. Move on. Like, good writing. Such great writing. And the one thing I was a little confused with is, why the daylight stuff? Why did they travel in daylight, and why did it seem safer? But it felt like it was just safer in daylight, and I don't know if they ever talked about that.
Probably you don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah,
There's
but you would think that traveling at night would conceal yourself from everyone else. Like, you could sleuth easier at night.
Maybe their main thing is because their eyes were red. Maybe it's their listening.
The noise. They always reacted to a sound in the very first scene of the church.
But they were walking in certain scenes in the daylight as though it was like safe, almost like a vampire-esque plot. And it's fine. It doesn't need an answer. I just wasn't sure if I missed something.
They were vague. They were intentionally vague on some things. I remember, especially when they were talking about how, at the end of the movie, where the Scottish soldiers talking the theory about, England's an island, like, we're quarantined here. It's probably not even over in America and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's never an answer given to that.
Right.
There's just him in the woods looking up, and he does see a plane fly overhead, and he's like, oh, that kind of confirms it.
And we heard about Paris too, so it's obviously clearly in London.
Exactly.
So this is
but I remember, but Danny Boyle keeps that vague intentionally.
Yes,
he was going to add some explication to that in the movie, but decided to not, and then do it later.
He knew about
28 weeks later does cover that.
Yeah.
But,
to me, I don't understand why I have the line, there were reports of infection in New York and Paris, only to establish that it seems like he is endorsing the quarantine.
Yeah.
Right.
By showing a plane, that means civilization has not...
But that's to throw
Yeah.
you.
And the fact that they are able to be rescued at the end, right? Means that there is...
There's some civilization. Obviously, we know that because there's a sequel. The last thing I want to say on the infection is it all sort of came to fruition too with the fucking crazy. I wonder how they shot this with the camera. The crazy blood drop into Frank's eye. That was so sad, so well done, so interesting, and again, just sticking the rules, like letting them really live with the scientific. Some vague science, yes, but either way, it like followed. It didn't contradict itself. It was like one drop in the eye. Of course, you're infected. If you get fucking AIDS blood like that, you're.
So one of the alternate endings was literally scrapped because it couldn't fulfill their rules about blood.
I love that.
And the commitment, Garland, he scrapped an entire ending. But yeah, that scene is also one of the best, I think, because of Brendan Gleeson's acting. To know that you have 10 to 20 seconds.
So good. Because at first.
Immediately he figures it out.
Yeah. And at first I was worried he was going to do the classic because he goes, no, I'm all right. I was like, no, he's too good of a character. I won't buy it if he tries to just like pretend it doesn't happen. But no, he just cares about his daughter. He doesn't want to give her the full truth, but he just says, I love you. And then like gets himself killed.
Yeah, the descent.
Heartbreaking,
you also he does have to act the change.
Yeah.
So he does, you see the moment of like that second where he's, but still able to talk before the acting was crazy. You can see like him processing the information in
real time, in 10 to 20 seconds. And I love that they gave us that timetable because once you have that timetable, you're actually able to see it live. So I think that is all the setup. So it's like dystopian. We figure out zombies, the rules, they're surviving. They get together. This is just a classic zombie movie. And then we have like the big twist in this movie, which I really didn't see coming. And my dumbass like thought for a second that I had this great idea because halfway through the movie, I'm like, I wrote a note to myself like, what about a movie where it like seems like it's really about zombies, but then actually it's about the people that are running that? I was like, obviously that's been done a million times. And then it's like, oh, this is like the movie that did it. So they get saved by the army people a little bit. You know there's something that seemed off. But again, he does a good job of directing like Danny Boyle where it's like, it felt like too good to be true when they met Frank and Hannah too. You thought that maybe that was going to be some twist. But this one, you're feeling off, but it feels like it might be okay. They kiss, Oppenheimer and Selena, and then it gets so dark. It is crazy how when a twist, especially one with like rape insinuated and creepy, uncontrollable army masculine rage, like sociopathic type of like, it's crazy how the second that happens, it's like, dude, bring a zombie on. Like, I know, it is like all of a sudden, all the fears are nothing compared to like that of a sentient human.
To the point where
like
you're actually rooting for the zombie at
100%.
the end. Yeah.
Well, the amount of ways that there are juxtapositions of the before and after. So even the Ambien, she could only take a half when they're just dealing with zombies.
And you're like, she probably shouldn't even do that. That's bad advice. Like, that could be unhealthy for her. Now you're like, take them all, please.
Yeah,
like,
The first indication that things might go wrong is, like, in my opinion, the eggs, his reaction to the eggs. But the big thing that, you know, the monsters are the men, obviously, this is not the movie that did it. It had been done.
Yeah, right.
George Romero was doing it back in the 70s. But the way it shot Jim to become the hero, to save the day, he has to act and behave like one of the infected. And there are multiple parallels to the way they shoot him.
Yep. He's got the blood on him.
Yeah. So they actually have that shot of Mason, the black zombie, appearing in the window. And to me, that's one of the best jump scares. And then not more than, 25 minutes later, it's Jim's face in the window. So he has to embody the monster to defeat the men. And it's not really even that subtle.
They actually filmed the Jim's part, like when he's running around killing all of them, in the same style that they filmed the actual zombies in the movie.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but I'm saying they used the same filming technique on him. The Canon, the 1600 frames per second, and with the Canon XL1 slow motion setting. That was the first time they filmed him in that way in any action scene too.
Yeah, and it culminates to the moment where he gouges out the eyes very graphically, and they show the entire thing, which is insane. The agony in that guy's.
Yeah, that was.
But it culminates to him about to approach.
And she thinks he's a zombie.
Well, maybe, and he goes, that was more than a heartbeat, to prove she could care more about a person, but also that he seemed infected.
True.
I love that.
I mean, like there was one shot where the zombie looks at itself in the mirror and it was like I thought that was an interesting. It was when Hannah's hiding behind the mirror, but I just thought it was funny because like that's how my cat looks at itself in the mirror. It's like, what are you? Are you? Should I hate you? It's like going between fair. I thought it was like an interesting little insight into the rage-filled infection.
Also, this was the last topic that I wanted to kind of bring up to you guys. Danny Boyle is very much one of those non-one-trick ponies, like a Spielberg who does movies in every single genre. Like, to imagine this is the same guy that then won an Oscar for the very hokey Slumdog Millionaire is kind of crazy to me that he puts himself behind these drastically different projects.
It's funny that you say that
too.
because I actually did see a lot of similarities to Trainspotting in this, actually. But
speaking of Trainspotting, Ewan McGregor was supposed to play Jim in this movie, but because Danny Boyle cast Leonardo DiCaprio in the beach, they were in a fight. So they were like, so he was like, "Fuck you, dude! I'm not playing Jim in this movie." So instead, Cillian Murphy got the role. But to the Danny
K-Dog on the map,
to the similarity, I think like the through line in a lot of his movies is about society and like social unrest and kind of not class war, but like. Yeah, social unrest, I think. Like Slumdog Millionaire is about someone who's like in a very low rung of society that works his way to like this stage in front of millions of people on television because of all these little things that happen throughout his life. Trainspotting is about, again, someone living in the dregs of society. I'm going to get there.
Okay.
This film, again, is about social unrest. It's in the beginning of the movie, you see this like big montage of I think it's like Sierra Leone or Rwanda or something. But I think that's like a through line of a lot of movies. Yeah, Sunshine is sort of a departure from that.
What about the Beatles one?
I mean, not every one of his movies, but I think like his big
Beatles
movies,
one, who lost? The Rolling Stones?
Yeah. What's
That's
the
pretty
Beatles?
good.
What's the Beatles one?
Didn't he have the movie about the guy that like wakes up and nobody knows who the Beatles is, and he does?
Oh, Yesterday?
Yeah, he starts making
That
their
was Danny
music.
Boyle?
Well, it's
think
almost
so.
Exactly like Slumdog Millionaire if you think about it. And I'm not saying just because they're both from the same part of the
not
world.
100%.
I love that movie, by the way. But it's about a guy that is a failed musician that would have no other shot at becoming successful, and also the waking up and the world changing. It's just like 28 days later. Yeah.
All right, so now let's talk about them endings because so what I just said before to tee it up is the one time that they shot the movie in beautiful full def Super 35 film was that last scene where they show the hell, then it's hello. They're making the thing for people to see when they fly by to flag down the plane, and it's a very sweet, happy ending. And then after I watched it, shout out Sean Dev, was like, wait, which ending did you watch? And I was like, what? There's alternate endings? And then Will obviously knows the answer.
The correct original ending
Canonical.
is Cillian Murphy being there as a survivor with those two and the hello sign successfully flagging the plane down. And you also see that they can starve to death. So a fully happy ending. The second ending, there's a kind of a scene that implies that they are in a hospital for a second. In the final cut, they show like them doing surgery. It spends much more time at the hospital with Jim, and he dies.
From the gunshot.
Yeah, from the gunshot. They're not able to get him back to life.
Black ending. Not just because it's not a happy ending, but that's like, if he's going to die in a cooler way, not later from a gunshot.
There was a couple of, he got shot.
I know.
And that's what makes it so tragic. It's a very opposite.
Yeah.
So they show Naomi Harris's character like totally break down, crying, and the girl, I can't remember the girl's name. Hannah, she goes, so what do we do now? And she has a pistol, which we don't see her use otherwise. And Naomi Harris's character just says, we move on, or we move, or something like that. And it ends with them going down a hallway, leaving the hospital. I think the implication is that the girl has now grown up. She's entrusted with a weapon, and it cuts, and they're still wearing those dresses. That's the first alternate ending. The second doesn't have the hospital scene. It jumps straight from the car interaction, Jim getting shot, to pretty much the exact same ending, except Jim is not there, and Naomi Harris is interacting with a chicken in the house. So it's just the two of them and the chicken.
So Jim turned into a chicken. I think that makes sense.
Special variety of the virus.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's more of an implied, less brutal way to experience the death, because the filming of his death was intense in the one alternate.
I bet.
Now, the
DVD specials, baby. Bring back the DVD.
The third is called the Radical ending. And this was never any of it filmed.
Right, it was just storyboarded, as what I saw.
Storyboarded with Alex Garland and Danny Boyle doing one person reading stage directions, the other reading the characters' lines. And it picks up with the moment that Frank gets infected. And Naomi Harris says, kill him. And Jim says, no. Cuts to Frank all bound, face covered, so he can't bite or do anything. And her being like, that was really fucking dumb. Why did you do that? And he says, because we're looking for the answer to the infection, like they said.
Right.
Then they arrive at what looks like an abandoned medical facility. They get inside, and what is it? An abandoned sort of animal testing facility. So they're kind of back at the original lab.
That checks out.
And they think they hear a zombie, and it turns out there's just like this weird guy whistling in a room. He's locked himself into a room, and he doesn't want anything to do with them at first. He's very bizarre, standoffish. You know, he's like, I don't want to know your names. I knew the military guys' names. Now they're all dead. But, you know, he implies, okay, I do have the answer to infection. And without all the little nice details that happen, basically the answer to infection is a full-blown blood transfusion.
Full blowjob.
Yeah, if you blow somebody to completion,
they're good.
As long as
just had
they
blue
don't
balls.
have bloody jizz. Okay, so this is where Alex Garland goes, and that was the problem with this ending. So you're telling me you get one little drop in your eye, but if you just swap out people's bloods, like you're able to clean out every fucking capillary, it just doesn't check out. And like medically speaking, it's like totally absurd. And that's why they scrapped it. But they test the blood, and sure enough, Frank and Cillian Murphy have the same blood type. And it ends with Cillian Murphy on the same table that the monkey was, with being force exposed to those same, the same footage of chaos.
Yeah.
And Frank, Naomi Harris, and Hannah leaving the compound.
Okay.
Damn.
I mean, I feel like without, you guys don't spoil it for me, but I feel like some of that stuff, I'm sure in the weeks one, they have to talk a little bit about trying to fight the infection of some sort. Don't answer me. That was a statement.
Okay.
All right. Well, those are alternate ending. I think they went with the right one, especially to get two more fucking movies out of it.
They screen tested that second one where Selena and Hannah leave the hospital and Killian's character dies, and the audience was like, "This is sad."
Yeah,
we need to
it was really intensely depressing.
Yeah. I think it's like saving Frank. That's too much, but you killed Frank. We had our tragedy. Give us the happy ending. I think that works.
And that the impact of the Frank scene is just so good.
Yes,
it would lose that.
100%. That is a dumb one.
Let's talk tomates.
All right.
I confirmed since the last episode with 3 more people that none of them understood the Rotten S Tomatoes play on words, and we are officially cannot pretend that we are better than any of them, and we were clearly wrong in explaining it. But this segment is called
Rotten S Tomato, because we estimate the tomato meter. Rotten S Tomato. I didn't mean
like
to sound...
Rotten Tomatoes, the website.
So we're estimating
We're
the
explaining
tomatoes.
it. Let's hear that theme song, B-Man.
You are about to find out if we really know what we're talking about. Are we frauds or are we connoisseurs? Here come our rottenness tomato scores.
So yeah, Rotten S Tomatoes is the beginning of the end here, folks, where we're going to evaluate the film by telling you what we think the critics thought, what we think the audience thought, and then, of course, what we thought.
Okay, let me guess first. We'll do tomato critic score first. It's so old. So there's got to be so many reviews. I think that it's great. It probably had high reviews, probably dipped a little bit, probably popped back up throughout the years. I'm going to say it's a 93 critic score. Brendan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think 96 is a little high for me, and I
said 93.
Oh, 93. I think that's high as well. I'm thinking it's probably somewhere around 80.
Okay.
Maybe even under 80. I want to say like...
Brendan is analyzing here. He's running the numbers.
I want to say 78.
Why do you think it's lower than 80?
I just feel like, well, the movie's been around a long time, and I feel like a lot of new watch. There's been so many people that have seen the movie, and like, again, to Abby's credit, bringing this point up, like the filming style, I think doesn't work for everyone. I also think,
but this is critics still. We're talking.
Yeah, well,
about.
critics
But
have
fair.
also
Critics are people.
Yeah,
barely.
Are people. And I think some of the acting wasn't that great. Like the whole army scene, I felt like the whole them going to the mansion and meeting the army. I felt a lot. They could have cut that out a lot.
Interesting.
Like the cooking, the whole like.
Some of them
thought
were
that was
off.
so important,
Some of them
the
were
eggs.
off, but then they became literal evil. The bad guys.
I'm just kidding. I knew the score. I knew the score all the time.
God, a Fletch farce, dude.
So
Yeah,
what's
so I don't
78
know.
on the dot?
I thought
It's
the movie was
78
great.
on the dot.
Huh?
It's 78 on the dot.
No, it's 87%.
Oh, I read the wrong score then.
Wow, you're a fucking.
You're the word. You cheated and you lost to me.
Wait, what did I read?
Abby
Wait,
was
don't
very.
look it up. Don't look it up because if you don't know the users, don't look it up.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
then,
what's the popcorn meter?
No,
but
wait.
now
So
I wonder if that's 70.
I
So-
wish. Do I had now? I'm probably influencing. Knowing critics might.
no.
influence-
But so let's just talk about
That's
it for
so
a second.
weird. It's 87. Sorry, I thought that was so low when I
When you
thought
thought it was
it was. I
78?
must have been another movie. I don't
Maybe
know.
you
What.
just dyslexic them. So it's 87. That's interesting. Just to talk. So that's pretty high. So that means I think my rationale is pretty right.
I thought
just
it was
a little
perfect.
behind.
I
Okay.
actually
That's
would have
great.
guessed higher.
Higher. Yeah.
I
'cause
don't. It didn't
critics,
to me seem like a movie that would like have its critical reception deflate over time.
Right. Maybe.
Yeah,
no,
neither
no.
did I. I just made that up to justify the 78
It's
score
important.
that I thought I read. I thought 78 was criminally
Crazy.
low.
So,
Yeah.
So that said, what you just made up in your filibustering, actually checks out a bit for me in terms of audience, though. I think it's definitely going to be lower than the 87 because I'm going to say people come into it now, they're going to have trouble with that DV cam a little bit. Also, we've talked about this before on the podcast. Really influential films, which just felt like it was.
Yeah.
They get knocked because people have seen the things that were based on them.
Yeah, it's hard to do this.
And that could hurt. So I'm going to
Yeah.
guess for popcorn meter, I'm going to guess an 81.
Yeah, this is hard because I feel like critics will go nuts for the whole like, oh, Canon XL1, this is a film,
Exactly.
like this is such an achievement. The fact that he was able to do this on such like a low budget, like so
Yeah.
lo-fi resolution. But at the same time, it's like I feel like this is a popcorn classic in a way.
Like you think, yeah, all right, classic on Cinema Shout.
That's literally just stolen from our favorite podcast. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's probably pretty similar because I think those two outweigh each other.
All right.
So I'm gonna say 88.
88. He goes one up. I went a few down. What's the answer,
It's
sir?
2 down at 85%.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So,
So
split the
this-
difference in our rationale there.
This is a couple of interesting things because I forgot to get my Medicare at best, but in my pursuit of idiocy from humans, I wanted to see like what does a critic say that's bad about this movie recently,
Right.
Not when it first came out. So you know how they have those little blurbs. The first rotten one is from 2018. And it says the possibility of renewal suggested by the survivors' attempts to start over certainly points towards hope. However, the circularity of the movie's plot is most likely to inspire dismay. So it's too sad. Well, okay. Medicare at best, where we choose somebody stupid to highlight. Terribly shot. The camera was shaking too much and couldn't see anything. Crappy, overrated movie.
I mean, that is, I think, bullshit, and we disagree with. I think that's a fair take, though. Like, you know, people are allowed to watch something that tried something with camera and just be like, it's too handheld.
I think this person literally
Didn't realize it was on
thinks-
purpose.
Yes,
Yeah.
that a guy.
I mean, I thank God I bought this movie legally, IRS, because usually I illegally stream, and if I would have illegally streamed it, I feel like I would have opened 9 tabs because I kept being like, wait,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
one's
yeah.
shitty quality, this one's shitty quality.
Yeah.
That because that camera's standard def. That's crazy.
Right,
like
right.
that's even before like the shitty flip phones.
They say you should watch it on VHS. That movie.
really?
Yeah. It's a better viewing experience.
I love that. Fuck,
yeah.
I wish I knew that, dude.
Yeah.
I would dust off my VHS player right now.
yeah.
And I know we said this at the very beginning, but the opening scene of 28 Weeks Later is the best part. And Abby, when you watch
It's the
it,
best.
I might watch
It's the
it
best
tonight,
opening
dude.
to maybe any horror movie, in my opinion.
Oh.
Or to maybe any movie. I love that idea. I love.
That's
Yeah.
so
and
incredible.
I just recently found out that Danny Boyle unofficially directed that opening scene,
Right, and
it
nothing else.
makes so much sense.
yeah.
Once I heard that,
How much later did the weeks come out?
Like only a few
28
years.
weeks later.
Fast turnaround, dude.
It's crazy.
Actually, kind of.
2007.
Yo, 2
That
years
sounds right.
would be 20. Oh no, that's half a year.
2007, I want to say.
Is there a Medicare at best you want to share?
They're all just like, oh, zombie movies are boring. I have better things to do.
Bro, I feel like a lot of people write reviews on Rotten Tomatoes as though someone like kidnapped them, put a gun to their head, and said, "You watch this movie." Like, you have a billion movies to choose from. You watched a zombie movie, a good zombie movie, then said you don't like zombie movies after you watch the whole thing, and you signed on to write the review. This movie, actually, my wife left me recently, so I'm just like not feeling well. Never seen the movie.
This one's great. I stopped it after the first 10 minutes. Sorry, this can't be a good film, and many reviewers agree. Like, this is on the site that statistically shows
They
that not
disagree.
many.
Also,
agree.
many reviewers, famously, Roger Ebert would watch 10 minutes of a movie and say, I got it. I don't need anything else. I understand it. Did you guys see, digressing, that the Academy Awards just implemented a rule this year that the voters will now have to watch all the movies before they can vote on the
so
movies?
ridiculous.
That's
God.
That wasn't a
crazy.
rule already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the
It's
last
insane.
fucking 80 years, they've just been like, didn't see it, but I just know it's not that good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. Guys, time for some final scores.
Oh, yeah.
What did we think? What did we do? Who did we know? And who did we poo? Will Dubs, host with the most.
I feel like I'm going to catch a lot.
You've seen 28 Days Later.
I'm going to
you
catch
like
a lot
it.
of shit for this, I feel like.
He's going to
not.
rate
You
it
wanna know why?
a 90.
Because no one's listening to it.
No, never done it before. I'm giving this 10 out of 10.
What?
Tiny,
No, you can't
cute,
do that.
little-
There's no room for growth over
so
28
the perfect
days.
movie.
I think
the
it's
most perfect of all time.
it's a perfect
There'll never
horror
be a
movie.
better one.
Wow.
No, I think there are other 10s
Well,
out
you can't
there.
do it. So there can only be as good, never better.
It can,
Yeah.
This
Hey,
is a
he's allowed to.
Hold on.
I know. I just want to clarify.
Also, it's 10 out of 10 tiny, cute little hairy Cillian Murphy wieners. And I'm going to tell you why I think that is a perfect horror movie. And that's what my scale is about.
Wow.
Nice.
I have nothing
Unreal.
to it. It has my favorite visuals, my favorite like theme, subplot, the writing. The more times that I see it, and I'm going on 10 or 15, this is one of my favorite
You
horror
said that
movies.
before we watched it, for sure.
It is one of my favorites, and I think I would give my other 3 favorites a 10
Also
out of 10 too.
Wow.
So
Dang.
I was watching it again, wondering if I would go in the opposite direction, but it did so many things that I love about horror so well. It's scary, or was scary when I was 13. It has that visceral intensity. The violence is the perfect amount, in my opinion. To Brendan, your point about if you have too much or too little, it's not as impactful. And the eye gouging is like one of the best representations of that in any movie ever, where when you go full violent, it has to be important. And that really showed what he was able to become. The soundtrack is one of my favorite ever. And it got me to fall in love with Cillian Murphy. It's super hot.
Respect.
You're first.
That's
Perfect
wild. Perfect score.
Abby,
I
what
don't
do you
even
got?
know. I don't even know how to follow that. I gave it an 8.1. I thought it was a really good movie. That's a
Abby,
really
you
good
gave
score.
the monkey a higher score.
No, I didn't. I gave
Wait,
the monkey
hold
an
on.
8. I thought.
That's a big delta between
So it's
10
a
and 10 and 8.1 is a huge
So you
delta.
don't think this is a just drastically better horror movie?
I guess
He
it
does?
is.
He-
I probably
no,
went
don't let
high.
him bully you.
We gave,
to a
the,
fucking,
we
I
gave
think-
The Exorcist like 9.7.
bro, it's just
Yeah.
knee-jerk numbers.
The monkey, I might have went high because we were arguing.
Yeah,
and
I
I
went-
wanted to
I
be
went-
against you.
we went high, I know
you.
That's what always happens.
No.
Why do I go first for my
No,
reviews?
that's not what always
It
happens.
doesn't matter. You would have given it 10.
What
Say
happened
whatever you
there-
Like, how can I make Will feel like he's wrong by saying a
That's-
number out
okay,
loud?
don't be so narcissistic about it. All it is a
Just said
human.
that.
Yeah, no,
That's
I'm
what
saying
happened.
it's defensive. If someone's yelling,
Perfect
"No,
time.
it's bad," then you're gonna be like, "No, it's good," and you'll probably hyperbolize you're good. That's what happened with the monkey. I stand by it though. It's the best movie ever made. Probably the best movie ever will be made. But 28 Days Later was fucking amazing. I don't think it was as good as The Exorcist. No, sorry.
it's somewhere in between
But
those two
Of
things.
course it is. That's why it's literally ranked between those. I believe I gave the monkey an 8, and I'm saying that was a little high, and I gave Exorcist a 9, and this is an 8.1. It's a great movie. Maybe this is what I wrote down. I wrote down 8.1, but then I wrote down, like Sinners, every day that Sinners passed the episode, it went up in my head, and I wish I could have adjusted my score. And I feel that will be my regret. I watched it yesterday. I loved this movie. Talking about it more with you guys made me love it even more. And you're right. I probably am rating this too low, but I stick to my fucking guns.
So do you write it down beforehand?
Yeah.
Your rating? Did you do it yesterday or today?
I did it this morning.
So yeah, I wonder, because I think that going back on so many of the ones that you guys, I was shocked at your response. You've always said the movie has grown on me.
Yeah.
And I thought
Not
you were
always
going to give
once.
it one of the highest scores because you kept
That's a high score. 8.1 is a high score.
not compared to your other
Abby's
scores.
being generous.
Wait, you don't know my other
Abby's being
scores?
generous with
Yeah,
8.1.
it's written down, but I know you've given
All right,
a lot
all
of
right,
movies
all right.
more than 8.1. I can just
Okay,
feel
don't
it in my
be.
bones.
Someone's diagnosed
You
with the
think so?
with the rage virus over here.
I am right now.
Listen, this movie, it was great. Was it the 10? Hell no. Was it an 8.1? I don't think so.
Okay, fuck. Now
so-
I feel like I
Hold on. But this is going to be a perfect little bow at the end of this puppy. So tune in, everyone. I'm giving this a perfect 9.
It's what I expected more from
It's a 9.
Abby.
Again, love the beginning of the movie. I thought it was one of the greatest beginnings to not only a horror movie, but almost any movie I've ever seen. The first scene where you see the zombie where he's in the church and they're just staring at him, and then all of a sudden the priest comes out of the door. That whole sequence was phenomenal.
The end is nigh.
The
So
end is
British.
nigh.
I didn't know what that meant when I was 13, and I
The end is
vividly
fucking
remember-
nigh, mate.
There was great acting, great character building. There's some real heart in this movie. Brendan Gleeson, phenomenal. Lit up the screen. Cillian Murphy, phenomenal. Yeah, I thought all in all, really great storytelling. And yeah, 9.
Wait, 9 what?
9 Lagavulin single malt scotches, because that's the scotch they drank in the movie.
Wow. I didn't do one for mine, so I'm going to have to say the rage bait again. I'm going to give it 8.1. Frickin' British zombies. Yeah. Yeah.
No.
That's Australian. Yeah. See you later,
Don't
guys. See you on the next episode.
All right, peace with it.
Selling coconuts, living the dream.
I'm not driving Dubs home.
2 men and a baby, oh yeah. 2 men and a motherfucking baby.